Some weeks, I don't feel like making jewellery, so I turn to sketching instead. This is me doing some loose sketches in my 50s, the vital craft. There are weeks when I just don't feel like making jewellery. Weeks where I'm struggling to feel a connection to the process of what it is that I'm crafting or trying to create. The bench feels heavy, the jewellery piece is unfinished, pain is high and motivation is low. When that happens, I turn to sketching instead. Before I start sketching anything meaningful, I like to warm up with a few simple exercises. The first one being drawing simple lines. Vertical lines first, straight up and down, trying to keep them even. I know these lines are by no means straight or even right now, but I feel this exercise lets me know my mental state and how in tune I am with the pencil, my breathing and focus. Then I draw horizontal lines across the page. Although I'm self-taught in most of my creativity, I've seen some artists do this exercise, and to my knowledge, I think it helps the hand remember how to move freely. I feel it loosens the wrist and shoulder. It brings the mind into the present moment, instead of worrying about the final result. Not only that, but any negative stuff that's happened during the day or any bad emotions that I may have had, it minimizes or helps me to forget as I continue doing these exercises. There's no pressure to make it perfect, just repetition. Just showing up with the pencil. These simple exercises remind me that creativity starts with movement, not perfection. After straight lines, I move on to circles. I draw some big and some small, trying to make them as round as possible. But again, not perfect. So I go over them a few times to get the muscle memory and the feel of each circle being drawn. One after another, I continue to draw them across and down the page, filling up the space of the page. The size of each circle doesn't really matter too much, just trying to see what looks good to the eyes. This exercise is a classic for a reason. It trains control and flow at the same time. It helps the hand learn to move in smooth curves instead of stiff lines. Even if the circles are perfect, the repetition builds confidence and relaxes the mind. For me right now, it's a gentle way of staying creative, without the pressure of making something finished. Just circles, just breathing, relaxing, and moving the pencil in a fluid way as much as possible. After the free-flowing circles, I move on to a different kind of practice. Drawing circles of the same size in straight rows across and down the page. I try to keep them even without using any guidelines. One circle after another, row by row. It's slower and more deliberate. This exercise trains consistency and control. It teaches the hand to repeat the same movements accurately. Even when the circles aren't perfect, the repetition builds patience and focus. Once the page is filled with the larger circles, I then go back and fill in the gaps with the smaller ones. It turns the whole page into a kind of meditation, a quiet rhythm of drawing, observing and adjusting. There's no final masterpiece here, just practice, just showing up with the pencil again and again. And right now, that feels like enough. After the freehand circles, I switch to a more structured practice. I draw horizontal lines with the ruler, equally spaced down the page. Then I try to draw circles that perfectly match the width of each line. One row after another from left to right. This exercise is about precision and control. Using the ruler gives me guidelines, but it would take a lot of focus to keep the circles round and consistent. It trains patience. It teaches me to slow down and pay attention to small details. Even here, I don't expect perfect circles or some circles to not be wobbly. Some gaps are uneven, but the repetition itself is the practice. At the bottom, I leave a bigger gap and draw a row of larger circles. Then I go back and fill in all the gaps with tiny circles where the bigger ones meet. Right now, this kind of quiet, methodical work feels like a good match for where I am. I've always been creative and spiritual, for a lack of better expression. But life, pain, and long periods of difficult and challenging times pushed a lot of that aside. Now, in my 50s, I'm trying to find my way back. Sketching feels a lot more gentler than trying to finish a piece of jewellery. There's no pressure to get it right. Just lines, marks on paper, shapes and whatever comes out. Often, when I sit down with no goal, I experience a mental block, not knowing what to draw. Other times, I have many thoughts racing through my mind and varying emotions. Sometimes I draw Virgo symbols and the Ankh key of life, variations, and other zodiac and talisman symbols. Sometimes anime, cartoon or nature and portraits. A lot of times I just draw completely random shapes. The pencil moves and my mind quiets down. It's not about creating something good. It's about staying in the creative flow without the weight of expectation. These small sketching sessions aren't dramatic. They don't look impressive, but they keep the creative connection alive. They remind me I'm still an artist of some sort, even on the slow weeks, and that feels important to me right now. So, this is where I'm at. Not forcing jewellery when I'm not feeling it. Allowing myself to sketch instead. Rebuilding creatively isn't always about finishing pieces, being perfect, or even finishing a creative project at the estimated or expected time. For me, at this stage, sometimes it's just about keeping the door open, even if only a crack, so that the light can keep shining in the room of your mind, one line at a time. If you also have weeks where you need gentle creative practices, drop what helps you in the comments below. Subscribe if this honest journey resonates. Thank you.